What's up, everybody? Hey, before I get going, real homie, subscribe. So subscribe, will you? All right? Just do it, will you? All right, so this is part 2 of our custom plugin build series. And also, if you hear stuff going on in the background, it's because there's squirrels running on top of my office building. And they won't go away. And also, there's somebody going up and down the road on an ATV over and over, so you might get that too. All right, so anyway, back to it. This is part 2 of our WordPress custom plugin building series with AI integration, particularly ChatGPT integration. And today we're going to just do a quick video on WordPress Plugin Boilerplate. Now, I did this in 2020, and just like I said in the last video, I'll do it again. And so today, let's take a look. The website, by the way, is wppb.me. Used to be .io. That's why I said in the last video. They changed a little bit, but it's all good. Like a huge difference, right? So this is a really basic, straightforward scenario here. It gives you a little list of things to fill in, and it gives you a preview of what it's going to look like in the WordPress dashboard over here. So like, let's just call it like GPT Talker, and just call it like GPT Talker. And then like we put in the URL, and then I put in my YouTube channel name probably. And as you can see over here, what's happening, see, is it's actually showing it all real time. And then you'd hit build plugin, right? And you'd get a download. And that download would look like this, WinRAR, right? A relic from history. And then you unzip it, you get this folder, okay? And in this folder, it's a nested folder, so there's another one, so there's actually 2 layers. And then you get all of your WordPress files for this plugin. Now, let's head over to Visual Studio Code. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna close this and show you just like reopening it. All right, so I use Visual Studio Code for a multitude of reasons. I also use Notepad++ for a long time, but I think Visual Studio Code is available even across Windows and Mac, if I'm not mistaken. I'm using Windows. So, but anyway, you can see that I already kind of like put the file together and brought it in. And so in this case, let's see. Let's go ahead and, all right, let's open the folder. And we're going to go into, yeah, you wonder what's in this one, huh? GPT Talker, and make sure you see these 4 folders, and it says folder GPT Talker. Select it, and it's going to open just how you want it in the left bar. Okay, here we are. See how easy that was? Instead of having to write all of that from scratch, like why would we do that, dude? Why would we write all of that stuff from scratch when we can do that? Now, could we write it from scratch? Well, yeah, but the problem is you have to know quite a bit of stuff about how to build a plugin versus it's much easier to reverse engineer, okay? And especially like I told you in the first video with Google having 25% of their code now written by AI, it just makes no sense, okay? Which, by the way, this was not written by AI. This was written by people. But let's get started and look. Okay, so when we get a brand new plugin from the WordPress Plugin Boilerplate, we are going to get 4 folders and these files. It's going to be the same every time. We have an uninstall. You imagine what that is, right? Well, when the plugin's uninstalling, it uses this. And then also, that's like its final file it goes to. And then we have a README, which is a little bit of information about the plugin, license, and index. Indexes in WordPress are used for protection of the place where it sits. To try to explain this simply, let me put it to you like this. If it's not protected and people were to visit the web address for, say, like a folder of a website, like to go into a folder, well, guess what would happen? They would, if they typed in the folder, it would show all the files and subfolders in there, and that's a massive security risk. So WordPress does a good job with this by making indexes do nothing. They just don't output anything, which is, you're going to find that's the case in every folder, except for languages, I guess. But like, there's one in admin, here's one in public, here's one in it includes. You see, they all have an index, and they all say the same thing. So you're not going to modify or touch any of those, okay? So let's start with the base plugin file, which is usually the name of the plugin, and it's in the root of the plugin folder. Okay, and this, like it says right here, this is the file read by WordPress to generate the plugin information in the admin area. So when you go to the admin area of your WordPress site and you see all that information where it says like what the plugin's about and all stuff where you can click activate, it's getting its information from these lines here. And it has to be exactly like this in order for WordPress to parse it and use it, okay? So this basically is like the core file. It basically kind of like, I don't know, it gets everything ready to go, right? It's like all the, and so when this plugin gets installed and activated, all of this stuff kind of happens. Like it registers some hooks for activation. There's an activator file that's in our includes. We'll take a look at that. Deactivator file that's in there registers and the hooks, all that kind of stuff, right? And it lets it know all kinds of things like the plugin path and all of this stuff. It's really great. This stuff's already written for you. This lets us actually move past the basics and go straight into modifying in the places where we want to modify, because we don't have to worry about any of that basic housekeeping stuff. And in the 4 folders, we're going to have a public folder, admin folder, includes, and languages. Okay, languages we're not going to mess with in this series because I'm not necessarily building this plugin multi-language. That's really what it's for. And there's also a PHP file for that in the includes that deals with multi-languages, and we're not going to do much with that. But let's take a look at the public folder. So this is where all of your public-facing side goes. Everything that your plugin will do publicly, meaning like on the front end of the site for people to see, will be done through here. Your CSS, your JS, your partials, and your public-facing class. So in this instance, this is all the code. This is where you would be setting up things that happen on the public-facing side, as it tells you in the top. Okay, this is the public-facing functionality of the plugin. This is where we put things for the public front end side. Okay, it's really, really great. So anything that we're going to do on the public end that people will be able to interact with on the non-administrative side will go here. And that's where we can style it and enqueue styles and all kinds of stuff. Same thing for the administrative side, okay? So this is the administrative side of the plugin, and guess what this is? This is for admin-specific functionality. This is the one that deals with administrative side functionality. And at this point, it's just like enqueuing some scripts and stuff, so it's not doing anything crazy. But that's we're gonna be working with these files actually quite a bit, each of these two in this plugin build. Probably the admin more than the public, but we'll be modifying both. And then we have the important includes file, okay? And in the includes file, let's take a look at the general file, the core one that we want to deal with. Okay, this is a very important file. It's the one that handles functions used in both our public-facing and our administrative side of the site, okay? Like they say, this is the core plugin class. It's used to define most things like hooks and public-facing hooks and admin hooks and all kinds of stuff. So if we take a scroll down, you'll take you'll take a look here. And you'll see that it's doing all kinds of stuff where it's like requiring classes for each of the things, loaders, and this is the one for languages, and the administrative and the public side, and it's like creating a new class instance. It's doing all kinds of things. What it's really doing is loading and everything for us. This is where we're going to end up adding a lot of our new hooks, defining new hooks. For where we have certain things happen. Like, for example, when we create a settings page for this, we're going to have to create a settings hook. And it's going to be included in here for the, not public, for the administrative hooks up here. We'll be hooking into the menu system in WordPress and adding our new hook. And then we'll be able to create a callback to a page we build or something like that, which we did in the last one I did. So that's what this file is for, essentially, is being able to load all the things that it needs to inside the plugin, all of this stuff. And know where to call to when we're like calling for administrative hooks. It knows to reference to our administrative facing class, right? This one we talked about just a second ago. So it can call to here for its functions and things like that. If we're going to make those, which we absolutely will for our database creation and all that. So at the end of the day, what's really nice about this is that everything's really easily included right here. We have a loader, right? And this registers all of our actions and filters for the plugin. So this is really great. You can see it's already doing it. It has a lot of really cool basics already pre-lined up ahead of us. We will work with this a little bit too, but it's a little ahead of us right now. Our language portion, like I said, we're barely going to touch this at all, if at all, because I don't plan to change any languages in the plugin or do anything with language as far as translations. And unless we do it with AI maybe. And then we have an activator. And the activator obviously does what you think it does. It's fired during plugin activation. So when the plugin is fired up, it's activated from the WordPress dashboard, this will fire. Now, the activator will probably use, I'm not 100% sure yet, I'm like pretty sure though, we're going to use our activator to create our database through the activator. So that when the plugin is activated, it creates the new places for us to store our GPT information. And so we're going to be working with that a little bit. And then we have the deactivator, which is where we have to clean up all that stuff behind us when we delete a plugin. Okay, so when the plugin, or not delete, sorry, when it deactivates, anything that we want to deactivate, unregister, make sure that it's not still hanging in the system when it shouldn't be, this is where we would have the deactivator take place. So as you can see, it's a pretty good basic layout. And even if a lot of this stuff is confusing for you right now, don't worry about it. These files actually are not complicated at all. And in fact, they're made super easy by the people who made the WordPress plugin boilerplate. And so it makes it really, really, really easy for us to have a really, really clean starting point for being able to just get going right away and start adding features and functions and activation functions and administrative pages and hooks and shortcodes. And so we don't have to play around with having to even understand, like, how do we even create plugin file structure. Nope, we can just do it right here. And that way you can get going way faster. And there's really no shame in it because most people these days, even like really good friends of mine who are programmers who used to program all the time, they would be like, like 80% of what they, how they fix problems comes from Stack Overflow anyway, from searching through Stack Overflow. They don't even know how to fix it. And then secondarily now, most people are using GPT as a code editor to help them anyway. So there's no shame in using pre-made templates or starting on things like that. In fact, I think that it's a huge advantage so that you're not stuck doing things manually. So, okay, well, I hope that was a good, simple breakdown. What I suggest you do is you download it and you just take a look at the files and folders and kind of figure out kind of what I was telling you. We're going to be working mostly with the includes folder and admin and public folders. And we're going to be kind of like splitting up functions between each of them and kind of making them all talk. This should all make more sense to you as we move further along. So, but I'm going to cut it right there for today. So go to the website, get yourself a plugin, make a few of them if you want, throw them in a trash can, who cares? And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next part where we're going to start adding our basic features and functions. We're kind of going to start going over basics of what we're going to do with the plugin and start breaking down a little bit further how we're going to integrate the API and all that stuff. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next part. Once again, subscribe, will you, if you haven't? And it's good to be back. Talk to you guys soon. See ya.